Whether you spent only a handful of years in law enforcement or coming to the end of a multi-decade long career, there comes a time in every law enforcement officer's time on the thin blue line where he or she starts thinking about the next phase of their career, and that's life after law enforcement. So today we're going to dive into that topic and what you can do to make sure you're fully prepared for that transition and that you can go into the private sector and just have a phenomenal career and use the skills and experiences from your law enforcement time to really thrive in your next chapter of your career. Let's get going. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Recruiting Heroes Show. This is episode 21, and I am your host, Colin Whittington. I'm also the CEO and founder of Recruiting Heroes, LLC, a national employment agency dedicated to helping America's law enforcement officers and veterans find amazing careers after their years of service. I'm so honored to have you here today to talk about the incredibly important topic of transitioning from a life of service to the private sector. It's one that I've really dedicated my life to now, and it's something that I love to talk about. And I know it's something that's probably interesting to you because you may be considering your time after law enforcement. A little bit about me. I come from a life of service, spent 8 years as a deputy sheriff for the largest sheriff's office in Virginia, worked on patrol, worked as a PIO, and then finally spent time as a sergeant overseeing the background investigation and recruiting unit of the sheriff's office in Loudoun County, Virginia, serving about 900 officers and civilian staff and a civilian population of about 500,000 or so. I've since left law enforcement, started this business, and now we strive to help you with your transition. I'm also the best-selling author of my first book, Beyond the Thin Blue Line, so I hope you do check it out. It's a great resource for officers considering a career transition to the private sector. As always, like the video, comment below if you're thinking about leaving law enforcement and what you want to do next. I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. That's super important. It helps me grow. It helps me reach more law enforcement officers and veterans who could benefit from these lessons. But getting right into it, the transition out of law enforcement to the private sector can be an incredibly challenging one. Especially right now, the job market is incredibly challenging and difficult. It's just very saturated with great candidates. Companies aren't hiring as much as they used to. The federal government's laying off. So there's just so much going on that makes it a really tricky process for officers leaving law enforcement to go into the private sector. So I really want you to start this process as soon as you can. If you're about to leave law enforcement right now, that's fine as well. We can absolutely work with that. But if you still have, 3 to 4 years left in law enforcement, don't think that you have endless time. Those 3 or 4 years are going to fly by. One of the biggest mistakes I see officers make is that they wait far too long to start preparing for life after law enforcement and think they'll just find a job, very, very easily. While there are some people who absolutely do find jobs quickly, most officers struggle and spend months, if not even years, working to find the right opportunity for them. And I don't want that to be the case for you. I want you to find a job that's really meaningful to you, that pays you very well, that gives you a great work-life balance, and that one that you're really passionate about as well. And the only way to really find that is through proper planning. And that's what really these videos are all about, is to help you plan for the next stage of your career. So to start off, you really need to start thinking about what interests you. You spent, years, if not decades, serving your community as a law enforcement officer. I always say that you have now earned the right to think about what's most important to you and what will benefit you and your family as you move forward. So I want you to start writing down things that you've really enjoyed during your law enforcement career. I recommend 10 to 20, but even just a handful of them are fine as well. Don't write down job titles. So don't write down, I've really enjoyed being a lieutenant or a major or police officer. Write down actual tasks or duties that you had to do. So these are things like if you were an FTO and training rookie officers, you could put down coaching or mentoring. If you are a firearms instructor, you could write down just firearms or lecturing if you enjoyed the actual teaching part of it. If you were in the administrative side of things like I was, you could write down recruiting or human resources. There's a whole host of things you could write down given your personal experience. And what I want you to do next is take that list and go to your job board of choice. I personally prefer LinkedIn, but you can also go to Indeed or Monster, other places as well. What's great with these websites and these job boards is you don't have to just search by job titles, because that's one of the main things I hear from officers. They come to me and say, Colin, I don't even know what to look for. So use your actual skills and interests to help guide your research, right? So if you like firearms, go into the job section of your job board and write in firearms. And what's cool is you're going to see every single job out there that has the word firearms either in the job title or somewhere in the job description. So you might find a whole host of opportunities that you never even considered before. There might be job opportunities in different industries you didn't even know about, and companies that are looking to hire people with your expertise that really align with your interests and passions. And you could identify a whole new career path for yourself. And starting this process early is super important. I recommend, again, 2 to 4 years ahead of time, because what you can do is you'll start looking, as you do this research, you'll start seeing what companies are looking for. You'll start identifying that, okay, these are the roles I really enjoy. I'm seeing these roles pop up quite a bit in this industry. And what I'm seeing is that these companies all want somebody with this experience or this certification. Of course, you'll bring your law enforcement experience, which is super valuable and it's going to be really interest a lot of companies. But if you can make yourself even more competitive, it's going to make your process that much easier when the time comes. So if you start noticing that companies are looking for a certain certification or a degree or a training, and you still have 2 or 3 years left in your career, you can use those 2 or 3 years to really work towards those certifications and trainings. What I'm seeing, thankfully, is a switch away from the old standard of really requiring a college degree, right? If you have one, that's great. If you don't have one and you want to get one for a certain reason, that's fine as well. But don't just go after a degree just because you think that alone will help you get a job. Because honestly, if you just get a bachelor's degree in political science, which is what I have, that alone probably won't get you a job. Companies nowadays seem far more interested in very specific certifications. So if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, you might want to look into the CompTIA Security Plus certification. If you want to go into leadership type of roles, you might want to think about the PMP management, the PMP certification, which is all about professional managers. There's a whole host of certifications that really align with the various industries that you're interested in. I'm actually going to put a link down below. It's also on my website, which is recruitingheroesllc.com. There's a whole host of certifications and trainings listed out by the various industries. So if you want to get into IT, there's a whole list of certifications you might want to look into. If you want to get into security, same thing. So again, click on that link below. It's completely for free. Just download it, and it should hopefully help you realize what type of certifications you want to go after. And what you can do in your time in law enforcement is work towards those certifications, because they can really make you stand out over the other person who's applying, who has, just been a cop. You can now be a cop who also has this training and this certification to really stand out. Next, I want you to really take time to work on your resume. Law enforcement officers typically really struggle with their resumes. I see it all the time. Officers come to me that either have never written a resume or haven't touched their resume in years, and that makes their resume look very outdated and using old styles and old, beliefs that are now outdated, and it makes the resume pretty poor and doesn't really articulate who you are. Again, I'm going to put down another link down below. This is for our Heroes Job Search Guide. This guide comes with my resume template. It also comes with instructions on how to write a fantastic resume. This guide is completely for free as well, so it should get you started as well. If you need more help, I am a professional resume writer, and that's one of the services my company provides. So you can reach out to us at any time to help with that. But you want to have a very strong resume. It's often the first thing companies will see or learn about you, and you have a few seconds only to really impress a recruiter or hiring manager before he or she decides if they want to move forward with you or throw your resume into the rejection pile, which is what we don't want. So you try to aim to make it 2 pages, use action verbs, use keywords, use quantifiable and metrics type of data in your resume to highlight not just the job duties that you had, but also your achievements. That is far more important. Most resumes that I see could just be a vague job description about any police officer or any detective. I want to know what you specifically did. And that's exactly what the companies want to see as well. So make it very specific about you and use quantifiable data to highlight your achievements. Next is LinkedIn. I talk about LinkedIn all the time. And I always kind of joke, I feel like cops go into two groups. The ones that post on social media entirely too much, and then the ones who kind of are scared about using social media for various reasons. I totally get the misgivings about social media. Facebook, X, Instagram can all just be looked at in different ways. I do want to say LinkedIn is quite different. LinkedIn is the largest professional networking platform in the world with around 900 million users or so. It's used by companies to help recruit, and it's used by candidates to help find jobs as well. I would say for the companies that we help recruit for, when I'm looking for candidates, I'd find about 15% or so through actual job postings. So people who apply through the postings that I put out. The other, 80 to 85% or so, I am finding on LinkedIn through our sourcing efforts. So I'm going on LinkedIn and looking for candidates based on certain skills and qualifications. And I use our platform, which is LinkedIn Recruiter. And it helps me show candidates that fit the exact job duties that I'm looking for. If your LinkedIn profile isn't set up at all, or if it's really poorly laid out, there's a good chance you won't even show up in my search, which means you have much less of a chance of actually landing that job. So you want to make sure your LinkedIn profile is set up for success. I've done videos in the past, and I'll do some more videos in the future as well, more about LinkedIn and optimizing your profile, which is so important. But my Here's Job Search Guide, which I mentioned earlier, is completely for free, and linked below is another great resource for you because I give step-by-step instructions on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. I literally tell you exactly what to put where. You just have to fill in your personal information. And it's a great resource for you. So I hope you download that as well. And I want you to start using LinkedIn and other options to start networking as early as you can. Building a powerful network is one of the most important parts of your transition to the private sector. Nowadays, with how competitive this job market is, most candidates are finding their opportunities through personal connections. So if you're on LinkedIn, I want you to start networking with people, all right? I want you to start networking with people both in law enforcement, but honestly, more importantly, with those in the industries that you want to pursue. I am on LinkedIn, of course, as well. So I do hope you will reach out to me. I love connecting with other law enforcement professionals. So if you send me a connection request, I will absolutely accept it. And we can have a conversation on LinkedIn as well. So do send me a connection request there. I'd be really happy to join with you. But you should make this a constant effort. If you go to a training or if you go to a certification course or a conference and you meet somebody there, don't just exchange, business cards and throw that business card into, your desk when you're back at work. Follow up that conversation with a LinkedIn connection request and keep that conversation going because you have no idea how that connection might help you down the road, right? You may meet somebody at an FBI LEDA conference, and then 3 years later, that person is a hiring manager for the company you want to work for. You can reach out to him or her and say, hey, we met 3 years ago at this conference. I see you now have moved to the private sector in this company. I would love to talk to you about any opportunities you may have. And just that personal connection can be a massive difference because now you go from just being, one of 100 applicants to being somebody that the hiring manager personally knows. And that will get you ahead of so many people and get your foot in the door. So I do want you to start doing that as soon as possible. Again, there's so many things that go into transitioning out of law enforcement to the private sector. You could write a whole book about that topic. In fact, I did. Again, it's my copy of the Thin Blue Line, Beyond the Thin Blue Line, excuse me. I hope you do check it out. The ebook version is like $4, and then the paperback version is about 10 or 11 bucks. So I hope you check it out. It's a great resource for you. Check out my free resources that I've linked down below and reach out to us at Recruiting Heroes anytime. All we do every single day is help law enforcement officers and veterans with their career transition. Every single year, we are writing hundreds of close to thousands of resumes, optimizing LinkedIn profiles, helping with interview training, and so much more. I know we can be a great resource for you. But again, start this process as soon as you can. If you're still 5 years out even, start thinking about it. Of course, you don't have to start applying, but get your resume squared away. Get your LinkedIn ready. Start networking, and you'll be amazed at how much smoother the process will be 5 years from now when it comes time to leave. Because those 5 years will absolutely fly by, trust me. But for now, that's all we have time for. I thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all the time you guys have been putting into this channel. It's been amazing to watch it grow, and it's all because of you all. So if you want to do all you can to help me grow even more, help me reach more law enforcement officers, I kindly ask you to like this video, comment something down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you in the comment section, and then also subscribe to the channel. The algorithm on YouTube is kind of weird, and I'm trying to figure it out still, but anything you can do to help me reach more law enforcement officers, the better, because this is absolutely a need that exists in the law enforcement world. law enforcement agencies are not doing nearly enough to help their officers transition to the private sector. And that's why I'm trying to fill that need with these videos and the free content I put out. Because I also know that not everybody can afford a resume writer or a career coach. So I want to make sure I provide as much free resources as I can and get it into the hands of every single law enforcement officer in America. So if you can like this video and subscribe, it would do me a world of good, and I would really appreciate it. But as always, guys, stay safe out there. I appreciate all the work you all do to keeping us safe, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye, guys.